I had quit a corporate job in 1984 to investigate, to probe the causes leading to the Union Carbide gas disaster in Bhopal. My research took me to Switzerland, it took me to America, and especially to study the plant at Institute in West Virginia and correlate it with the plant, a second-hand obsolete plant that was transferred to Bhopal from Danbury by the Union Carbide Corporation, just to cut costs. And after I finished my investigation, my findings were published in a book form, Bhopal Disaster, an Eyewitness Account. The first edition was out in 1985, and a second edition, which was released by the President of India, Gyani Zail Singh, in Rashtrapati Bhavan in August 1986. Around that time, I took up journalism full-time, and I would like to recount an episode as something that has stood with me as an experience. Following one of my beats, the year was 1988, 89. To be precise, I think it was 89. I went to the State Secretariat to visit the Principal Secretary Forest. The Principal Secretary Forest at that time was Mr. Keval Krishna Sethi, who later became Chief Secretary Manipur and also headed the National Commission for Linguistic Minorities, a constitutional post. Now let me recount what happened that day when I visited Mr. Sethi's chamber in the State Secretariat in Bhopal. When I went to meet him, he greeted me and he asked me to take my seat and said he's busy writing a note sheet, and he took leave of me and said, let me finish it and then we'll talk. He took a couple of minutes. He finished the note sheet on the file and he rang the bell. The attendant came and he said, now this should, after dispatch, go to the Chief Secretary. Even before the attendant was out, he called for him and he said, bring the file back, put it on my table, and come when I call you again. The attendant left, and at that point of time, Mr. Sethi told me that since I'm a journalist and there should be total transparency, he wanted me to read what he had written on the note sheet. He read it aloud to me. His noting was a response to a query from the Chief Minister. The Chief Minister at that time was Motilal Vora, who later became the All India Congress Committee Treasurer, throughout his life was a right-hand man of Congress President Sonia Gandhi. So the Chief Minister had asked the Principal Secretary Forest, Mr. Sethi, to reply to his query as to what action was being taken to prevent massive illegal felling of trees, timber theft in the Raisen forests, in the forests of Raisen district adjoining Bhopal. Now, Mr. Sethi's reply was an eye-opener. He mentioned in his reply that, reminding the Chief Minister of his discussions with him a few days back, Mr. Sethi wrote that when the Chief Minister had broached the subject, he had told him categorically that the son of a religious leader from Bhopal was involved in this, openly involved in this, and it was for the Chief Minister to give direction, to invoke the NSA, get this person arrested, and that would solve the problem, that would end the crisis, and there would be no more illicit felling of timber in the neighboring district of Raisen. He wrote this, and after he had acquainted me with what he had written, after he had narrated to me what he had written, he rang the bell, the attendant came back, and he said, the file now has to go to the Chief Secretary's office for being pushed on to the Chief Minister. This was quite an eye-opener, this whole narrative. Mr. Sethi also told me there and then that after he has written this in the note sheet, it won't be long that he would be occupying this chair as Principal Secretary, Forest, Madhya Pradesh. And within a couple of days, Mr. Sethi was sent on deputation to the center, and he was away from Madhya Pradesh for long years. It's an entirely different matter that later on he returned to his parent cadre and he became the President Board of Revenue in Madhya Pradesh. He is one of the most respected officers and highly respected for his administrative efficiency and bureaucratic acumen.